Super quick before we get into the video, I'm going to be doing my first episode of my new Q&A series tomorrow, uploading that, so make sure you check it out. And if you want to get your question featured, hit me up on Twitter with the hashtag AskCrux, and I will try to answer as many as I can. Thanks. Hey guys, Cruxel, welcome to my video about vulnerability in CSGO, which I think is something that a lot of lower tier players have a fault in recognizing. And my first example here is checking your angles and clearing sights. As you can see here, when I hit the farther back angle, I'm not exposed to as many angles, but when you push up close here, I see people do this all the time. It actually leaves you vulnerable from quite a few spots once you check that second spot there, purely because you're closer to the corner. So learning to recognize stuff like that and peek accordingly can help you out a lot and help you stop getting those bullshit deaths where, you know, you get fucked out of nowhere, it feels. Also, it helps you get to cover much quicker, and basically recognizing situations where you can improve your peaks will help immensely. Going for a bomb plant is always a very vulnerable situation, and if you don't have a teammate covering it for sure and you have a smoke, you might as well toss it out to at least one angle that you might be peeked from. That'll minimize the amount of chance you have of someone peeking you while you're planting, which can really disrupt a round for you and your team. And this is very useful on sites that have a lot of cover like this. Also, people always peek out while throwing nades, which is about the dumbest thing you could do because you're basically caught with your pants down at that point. That's why I always show you guys these smokes where you're not seen while throwing them, and they always land in the same exact place. That way you're not getting fucked with your smoke out or something like that. And I know a lot of you guys at lower ranks want to rush sites because you don't have the nade knowledge to be able to do executes, or you don't have the teamwork to be able to do it. But make sure that you're always cautious of flashbangs. In fact, there's areas on maps such as anti-flash here that people play a lot because a lot of people always are aggressive on CT and will pop flash. So you make sure you have your ear open for those bouncing noises as well as quick reactions so that you can just flick and turn around as you're pushing. Or sometimes if you're rushing, you might as well just turn away when you're not going to be visible by the enemy. That way, in case they do throw a silent one, you're still able to dodge it and not be blind. It really bugs me when I see lower tier players doing this because it's about the dumbest way you could die. But my rule of thumb is always have a use for your nade before you even pull it out. If you don't know what the fuck you're going to do with your grenade or how you're going to throw it, do not whip it out and have it primed because you're going to get caught, they're going to peek you, you're not going to have your weapon out. That's why they added these animations of you bolting your gun every time you pull it out to punish you in situations like that. It's a way of balancing out the game for people who are always having their nades out so that they can't just immediately switch their weapon and have a fair advantage. Also, you have to pick the way you angle your nade. Here you can see I'm clearly visible from all of A main when I push that and try to nade behind the box there. And there's easier ways. You can just use math to your advantage and bounce it off of corners and stuff like that in order to get the same effect. And that way, in case they do push, you can hear them much quicker and not be out in the open where they're gonna obviously frag you. Up next is about the biggest issue I see in lower ranks with vulnerability, especially if you have a really nice knife. You know, you're always wanting to pull it out, see that cool shit that you paid hundreds of dollars for. But unless you are rotating at a very late time in the bomb timer, recognize that there's like half a minute for the bomb. You have a lot of time. You don't need to be having your knife out the whole time. As you can see here, just this short stretch, I'm going over literally like the 30 places that people could have been lurking at, trying to get a frag for people rotating, which is often how I get frags. So make sure you're avoiding that by always having at least your secondary out, or else they're going to start shooting at you. You're going to freak out, scroll through all your weapons, and most likely die because that's how silvers do it, right? So make sure you're aware of that, and if you have the time, you can go a bit slower with your pistol out as you're rotating to sight, and at least that way you'll have a quicker way of reacting in case someone does peek you. Doors are also a huge point of vulnerability, especially on sites that they are close to, such as the squeaky door here. It's called that for a reason. Anyone who's on site is going to be able to hear it and recognize it, and most likely is going to be aiming right towards you, so you're going to be wanting to pre-aim as soon as you open up the door, and this comes from map knowledge. That way you know the angles. Alright guys, this next one's huge, and I'm really not sure how people don't know how to do it, but you don't need to be looking down and pressing use button to switch weapons. If you walk over the weapon that you want and press drop, that's a quicker way to do it, as well as being way less vulnerable, because you can keep your crosshair head level and peeking where they're going to peek, and that way if someone does peek you, you're not looking down at the ground. At the same time, the use button can be kind of shoddy, the system that they have in the game, and it doesn't always work. The one time you do want to use this 100% of the time is if a gun is dropped in a vulnerable area. It does have a bit farther reach than dropping your gun. You can kind of reach out and get it, so that's what I usually do if it's dropped and I want to challenge an opera or something like that. So yeah, hopefully this video helped you guys visualize when you are most vulnerable in CSGO and how to avoid those situations. Thanks for watching.